Welcome back. This is episode 3 at After Hours YYC, and we're here at SS 106 Aperitivo Bar drinking some Casa Amigos tequila. I think we're big fans of tequila in this place. I agree.
I think so.
And we're drinking a nice Tony Negroni. So if you ever come down here, you got Andre, you got Damien, even myself, I sometimes will make you a lovely Tony Negroni. Maybe not as good as Dan's cocktails, but that's coming soon. So let's start with, let's talk about how our week started. How do you guys' week? Dan, how was your week?
My week was good. I was busy for me anyway, working a fair bit, trying to go out a little less this week than I have been, trying to keep alive a little longer, but it's been good. It was a great weekend. The weather's, other than one crazy, massive blow-through storm, the weather was decent, so...
So you went out 7 times this week instead of 8?
6.
Okay,
Only 6. I'm cutting back.
You're growing up. That's good.
And one night in.
How about you, Joe? How was your week so far?
My week was not too bad. I was stuck quarantining.
What was good? Was it a good quarantine?
Hey, what was so good about it? Being stuck at home, staring at TV, staring at your kids, driving you nuts.
Yeah. Well, see, because you're a guy that likes to go to work.
Yes, I love to go to work, get away from the familia, because you know how they can roll, especially when you got 4 women in the home. A lot of estrogen.
You might have a harder week after they see this.
Oh, no, they don't watch it.
Well, they might watch the first 5 minutes. He's shit out of luck right now.
Exactly.
And Nigel, how was your week, buddy?
Oh, man. They're all the same the whole last year. I woke up. I commuted to my living room, dining room table. Did my work. Turned on the news. Turned off the news.
Probably the best thing to do.
Had a good Friday night with some friends. Can't complain.
Oh,
Nice.
where were you at?
Oh, you know, a little local bar. A restaurant called SS.
I was actually off that night, and I don't know. I remember seeing you, and that Cascahoon was really good. All right, so my week, the reason why I was probably drinking a lot on Friday was...
Anything exciting happened to you?
It was a little different. So this is going to be my rant for the day. So we all know that my family was coming back from Mexico after my wife tested positive for COVID, even though if you watch the last episode, we knew that she was positive in November. So, you know, they still say the antibodies in your system, you can still test positive. So let's all remember we have to follow the science, because that's what we've been told, right? Follow the science. So my wife took a COVID test, you know, tested negative, flew to Cabo, stayed a night in Cabo, then she went to the airport. And she was waiting in check-in, and for some reason they wouldn't give her boarding passes. So 2.5 hours in check-in, she misses the flight to Dallas. So as she's missing the flight to Dallas, she's texting me, calling me, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, after 3 months stuck in another country, you know, why is this happening? So then, you know, she goes and they give her boarding passes for the next flight. So she goes through security. I don't know how she got through security when you find out what happened. So she goes to the gate. Now they won't let her board the second flight. And she didn't look at the boarding pass. It's not her fault. She has my son, my mother-in-law, and they're rushing to get to the flight. All of a sudden, she realizes they spell my son's name completely wrong. And this was 100% their fault, because we did not. I think my wife knows how to spell my son's name, you know what I mean? So anyways, they make it to they finally get on the 3rd plane. They get to Dallas, they pay for their hotel, they pay for their food, which was $20 for the whole family. So this is where I'm saying follow the science. So then she's like, I want my boarding passes for tomorrow's flight back to Calgary. Does this all make sense? This is working? So she gets they're like, no, we cannot give you your boarding passes, ma'am. And she's like, why? I want my boarding passes. Is it too early to give my boarding passes? No, because you need a new COVID test, because your COVID test has expired. So she went, another thing, my son got through security with the false name. So is that easy to steal children nowadays? I don't know.
Oh, I was going to say, I never trusted that kid. He's running with a fake passport.
You know,
We were talking about attributes of him on Friday. I don't know. Is he your kid?
I guess we got to follow the science.
3 months
Yeah,
in
no.
Tijuana, so we got to follow the science, right? So anyway, she gets a COVID test, comes back to Calgary. It's all good. Goes straight to the quarantine hotel. She says, how much do I pay? You know, $500 for my mother-in-law, $500 for my wife, nothing for my son.
For one night?
Well, it was supposed to be 3 nights. Within 20 hours, she calls me. Can you pick us up? Can you get somebody to pick us up? I'm like, we're allowed to do that? Well, they don't even care. So we go, me and my dad go pick him up. I'm not going to get fined for picking up my wife, am I now? For saying this. So we go pick him up. We get to the hotel by the airport. And I'm like, there's a lot of cars in this parking lot. I thought when you quarantine in a quarantine hotel for COVID that you're coming from an airplane directed to a hotel. So then I see people coming in and out of the lobby in the front. And then I ask her, oh, she's like, meet me in the back. So she has to go through the back. They had regular customers in the same hotel as a COVID hotel for $1,000 for 20 hours. So you're telling me this is science or is this a scam? I don't know if you guys, I think this is kind of a scam. I think it's a little intense that she's had now, then she took a COVID test in Calgary. She's going to have 7 COVID tests. Like my poor wife's nose, it's going to be more messed up than mine. Look at mine, this big Italian nose. Sorry, babe, you're beautiful.
So-
Your nose is beautiful.
Now, did anybody tell her she could leave, or did they just go for a walk and down the back steps and out?
No, well, I think she said that she just called the front, I guess, and she said, I'm leaving. Okay, sure, just go out the back.
Really?
There was no, you could actually go down the stairs and nobody's going to bother you. I thought they had all this security, all this.
No, I heard a story. There was some influencer who went to a wedding in the States and returned home to Toronto. And she was like, no, I'm not going into the hotel. And she got out of the cab and went home. And people are getting fined, but it's remains to be determined if those fines are actually going to
Yeah,
hold
of
up,
course.
right? Because fundamentally, down to the Constitution, they can't hold you against your will. If you haven't committed the crime, they can't hold you against your will. So,
Well,
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but there's something interesting
I
there.
don't know.
where,
Doesn't that go against our Charter of Freedom and
yeah,
Rights?
Rights and
I think they're flexing on people, and that's the thing. People probably know this even from just in general. Like, if you get pulled over in a traffic stop, or all kinds of incidents where you're dealing with the authorities, they'll flex on you and they'll ask questions and make demands that you don't actually have to comply with necessarily, right?
Yes, they'll ask you for
They'll
something.
ask
in a
you.
nice,
They'll
but in a
always,
tricky
they're
way.
polite. I don't mean when I say flex, I don't mean
no. I
they're
mean,
like
but they'll do it in a way where you
arm
think
handling.
that you're required to do
and
it,
so
but they're actually asking.
They'll
you.
ask you something.
Yeah.
If you actually know your rights, I mean, you all see these videos of lawyers getting pulled over in the States, and they could just get they just get away no problem. But a little bit of that's happening right now.
Do you think it's when you first come to the airport, when you take the COVID test, you sign a form? Is that giving up your rights by signing that piece of paper?
Well, you got to read the piece of paper, man.
I know, but a lot of people, they don't read the piece of paper, right? Because now when you sign that piece of paper, now you're taking a test that you shouldn't have to take.
Well, and if you
You're-
think about it, you show up at an airport and you're a mom with a little baby and a grandmother with you.
Well, and a stolen child,
Yeah,
according
stolen
to
child, yeah. And you just want to get to a hotel or you want to get home. You're just going to walk in, sign here, yeah, whatever. It's like
Well,
when you borrow a lot of money at the bank. You don't read the paper.
I honestly think,
It's,
like we talked about, my fiance has been here a long time, my wife, fiance, now I think it's the same person. But she's not fully Canadian yet. She's waiting for her citizenship. So I think part of it was if she walked away and took the fine, she's worried about her,
Oh, I
her
get that.
paperwork.
Yeah, I
right? So
understand that. Yeah.
Because I know her. She's a tough person. She would have said, screw this. I'm not staying in this hotel. But yeah. I know that was my week, my little week here.
that
and-
sounds exciting.
Well, glad the family's home.
Yeah, I know it's great. It's great. My son is he's a machine. I can tell he's grown so much.
I want to speak something on this follow the science thing.
Yes,
like
please.
I said, I had to quarantine due to my workplace. Someone contracted the virus. They called me up, said, you got to stay home. You got to go get tested. Whatever. I got tested. She told me if I were to test positive, I get to go back to work in 10 days. But if I test negative, I got to stay home for 14 days. I told the girl, I'm like, are you sure? Can you repeat that? Because it makes no sense to me. Well, she said, for the next 4 days, because you can be incubating and the virus will come about. So then I said to her, well, doesn't seem like your test is very accurate. Let's follow the science here, right? So I asked her then, well, after the 14 days, do I have to test again, see if I'm negative, go back to work? She's like, no, if you have no symptoms, you go back to work. So this whole quarantining, staying home, tested negative, not sure if you're going to be positive, with no symptoms, test 5 days from now. To me, it's all bullshit. Follow the science. It's a cash grab. The more people they test, the more money they make.
Well, how much is okay, we don't pay for tests here, but somebody's paying. It's our taxes.
Oh,
We're paying for
Somebody's
this.
you're paying for them.
We're
Don't
paying
worry
for
about
these
it.
tests.
Well,
you
that
know what I mean?
deficit coming for us is
Well, Antonio will be paying for it.
Yeah.
when you can't retire till 75. Yeah, you're paying.
You know, it's going to be, that's my biggest concern about it all is like, it's like I said, when this all started, I said, it's not a big secret. I'm not the biggest fan of our current prime minister. And when this all started, I said, I wouldn't want to be in his shoes. Like, that's not an easy spot. World's falling apart. Everything's going to pieces. And you have to figure something out. So not a great place to be. I don't think anybody would wish to have that job. But the way we're printing money and just blasting through things, like, your kids' will be paying for this at the rate we're going. Like,
He's up for re-election. He wants that job.
yeah.
Yeah, of course. With no budget yet to be seen, so that's
Well,
Which,
no, it's
I mean, follow the money. Why
3
do you want
weeks.
that job? Like, to your point.
Oh,
Why
well,
do
if
you
you
want-
follow
why
the-
do you want
if-
that job?
If you follow the money instead of following the science, I think you'll know why you want that job. How much has his net worth gone up since he's been a politician? His trust.
I don't know. He was born of a silver spoon and a black face, so.
You know those Cubans.
Salute to Uncle Castro.
Hey, Fidel Castro. Huh? Hey.
so
Salute. Another tequila.
So now that we're on this point here with coronavirus, we said we didn't want to talk about this, but it's just so much in the media right now. It's like it's affecting every one of our lives. That we're talking about, do lockdowns really work? So there's this great Barrington Declaration. I think we talked about those guys last time, a couple of those guys, but you should see some of the names that are on this that are signing is saying that, you know, if you're, here's just some little points from it. I'm not going to read it all because you can go and just Google it and see it. Adopting measures to protect the vulnerable. Those who are not vulnerable should immediately be allowed to resume life as normal. Young, low-risk adults should work normally rather than from home. Restaurants and other businesses should open. Art, music, sport, and other cultural activities should resume. People are more at risk, may participate if they wish, while society as a whole enjoys the protection conferred upon the vulnerable by those who have built up herd immunity. So, these are epidemiologists, professors, like these
yeah,
aren't
maybe
just,
back up a little and explain what that document is. Or the
What's it called again?
it's the Great Barrington Declaration. So it's a bunch of epidemiologists, pathologists, virologists that came out and said these lockdowns aren't the right thing to do.
it's a declaration being signed by like
By
citizens,
people
right?
that are like,
and there's like
it's not just ER doctors.
Right.
I'm not putting down ER doctors, but the media here likes to give ER doctors a lot of attention and not pathologists, virologists, epidemiologists,
yeah.
right? So like
And they're from the UK, Canada,
the
America.
States,
Right,
and,
like
like
almost
Harvard, Stanford, these aren't
3/4 worldwide of people
Yeah.
have signed this document.
Yes,
I
yes.
think it's like 40,000 medical professionals and like 3,000 doctors, right? So
what-
far, I don't know how long it's been in existence for.
So, but how do we have to go and look this up? How is this not in the media?
Yeah.
How is this not? That's what's scary. Like, why aren't we showing both sides? That's the only thing that's.
The one thing I'm always concerned about, like not even in picking sides, although I have one, but it's any time that you have you try to quiet dissenting voices, like, you know, there's two sides to a story, but you only want to heavily present one. I'm always going to be skeptical. Always going to be skeptical. Doesn't matter what you're talking about, right? If it's just going to one-sidedly say this, there's always two sides to a story. We know this.
Well, we've talked about it before that it's not so much that it's news anymore, it's infotainment now. And people pick their sides. Like, everybody can use the example of America because it's bigger, but like down there you're either a Fox News guy or you're a CNN person, and you...
Which is so unfortunate, though.
It is, no,
really.
but you know what? I look at all sides up here. I look at everything.
Don't forget Al Jazeera.
Yeah, no, hey, you know what?
I think it's a war happening, a psychological warfare through the media.
You know,
where they're
They always say that nobody ever leads with good news, that good news doesn't sell, bad news sells. I think that to have something to sell, you have to have something that either scares people or to keep their attention.
You just said it, aren't these like? Look at CNN's ratings have dropped like crazy since Trump's been out. It's a true fact. People aren't paying attention to the news as much. They want all this celebrity shit. Like, it's the truth. Look, didn't the Canadian government have to bail out our media because they need clickbait? Like, even me, a guy that thinks mainstream media is junk, I'm gonna pay attention to it because I'm worried about my livelihood, you know. And it's just it's bullshit, man. And
But you know, you should look at both sides.
Yes, of
and then
course.
do your research. You've
but
got your
are
facts and
there
Do
two
the
sides?
research.
Yeah.
Are there two sides in the media here?
Yeah,
That's what we're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's two sides being presented.
But you know, when you see something like you see this, when you told me about this, I went and looked it up. I went and I researched. Same thing, that other post you sent me about lockdowns. and I went and searched the source of the tweet, and there's always a trail if you go back through these things. So a lot of these people, I think, are, I'll give them perhaps well-meaning, but a lot of them, it feels like are talking to be heard. They want to be on the cutting edge of whatever the dilemma is or whatever the cause is that they're helping or that they're
But
saving.
in the last one we talked about doctors, like literally being cautioned by
Yeah.
the College of Doctors
Yep.
for having a dissenting voice, right?
Yeah. No.
Even
Or
teachers.
being fired.
Even
you know?
teachers. I told you about that teacher today. He messaged me and said, why did you take down that post? I thought it was a meme. I Googled it and I'm like, it's a true fact. Why did you? He's like, well, because, I'm getting a little, I'm worried about stuff, getting in trouble. I'm like, what? Teachers can't even have a voice? The people that are teaching us are being silenced.
Yeah.
That's not like censorship now. They say it's not censorship because we're doing it to protect you. God, get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry. That's not protecting us. What are we going to, we're going to protect, just like we pat our kids, we're going to protect you from the truth? Come on, man. Like,
And that's exactly it. Like, I'm not a doctor, so I don't have an official take on the science, really. But I know there's two sides to the story. I know when I dig and do my own research, I find professional voices, doctors, who have a different story. But it's never in the media. And that's
Well, and-
very concerning to me, actually.
Even a lot of the times then you have to dig to see who are these people, who are the dissenting voices, who are the people that are piling on, and you follow that back and you see what's their intention, why are they saying the things.
You do have to do your research.
If you look at it, you want to talk about research, I still say the stat we should be paying the most attention to is deaths.
yeah, of course.
If we have 1,000 tests today or we have 10,000 tests today, we're either going to have 70 people in the hospital or we're going to have 700. But if 3 people die, what's the most important number out of that?
And that's the thing. You can't help but see the sensational nature of the stats that they report, right? And it's always, I mean, it kind of upsets me because I think about all the small businesses and the effect on my own life. But every time they talk about the modeling shows, like, what could happen. Like, remember how this all started? We talked
always
about
wrong.
the 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
The modeling has always been
and it's
correct.
and
It's
the
not even
modeling
that.
is always this worst case scenario that's
It is,
not
yeah.
we're not even close. We've never come close.
That's right, yeah. We are lower than the best possible scenario they had thought of back in April.
But they
last
keep
year.
plugging in worst
Yep.
case scenario for the model.
Now that you talk about deaths, right? So let's just talk, like, we know, these are just little numbers that I came up with myself because the mainstream media is not going to tell you this shit. But you can just get a calculator. Now you have calculators on your phone. Maybe when we were kids, we didn't have calculators. Like, I don't know, but we had the,
How old are you?
now you're making fun of me.
An abacus?
Well, we used to actually do our,
We didn't have a calculator right there.
yeah, like
in
at
our
calculators,
pocket.
you could ask Siri to add it up for you, right? So like Quebec has had the harshest lockdowns. I was in Mexico. All my Montreal friends that I met there, they were really good people. Like, we don't want to go back. There's martial law. We have to be home at 8. They have by far, I think they've doubled all the provinces when it comes to death per capita. They have 1,255 per million people have died of COVID or because of, or no,
With or
because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
Ontario is 503 per 1 million. Manitoba 682. In Manitoba, you couldn't get a Christmas tree at Christmas.
And
because-
Manitoba's interesting because that's a smaller population than us.
right?
Right?
Yes, yeah. And then you look at Alberta. We've been, I think, in the middle. You know, they nobody. I don't think our government actually wants us to lock us down again. But you go on every tweet or every
We got
tweet.
a populist premier, so I mean, he's doing his best to try to keep us happy, but
he is, but I think
You're
that
not
a
doing
lot
good
of-
enough.
So we're 453, right?
Okay.
And then you look at BC that they've never had a second really lockdown like we've had.
I went
Well,
twice last year.
Well, now today they locked up. I don't
Yeah,
know if you
they
heard they
did. Yeah,
locked
I
up.
did. I have a
They've
friend
had
that-
288 per 1 million. So why are the harder the lockdowns, the more people are dying? I'm confused. I thought lockdowns work. Why is Italy lockdown 3?
Well, see, the funny-
meanwhile, Florida,
Florida is
has never
the
shut down.
27th most deadliest state. 27th. That's better than the average. And they've been
Oh, they're
open
right
since
around the
September.
average,
Right? Like 20 there's 26 states, 25 if you count Puerto Rico and
I haven't heard any stats on Texas, but Texas is wide open for a month now.
it just makes you think, right? Like
So what's the difference?
Dan, you got any
that,
exes in Texas?
What's the difference that the New Zealand prime minister? What does she do different?
well, I think they're an island. They closed everything down, but people weren't allowed to do anything. It was like full martial
Yeah,
law,
like,
right?
I think New Zealand now is just letting people into the country now.
But what happens? How about if they bring the virus? Are they all vaccinated? They have a small population. I don't know. I have no idea. Like, what is the end game when people want lockdowns? Even these people say
I
2
got-
weeks, 3 weeks. What is the end game? This isn't going
But
away.
see- But we still go back. Remember who was it that was saying we just passed our 1 year anniversary of the 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and it wasn't to kill the virus. It was to make sure we didn't overwhelm the medical system. Because back then they said everybody's going to get this. Because when this first started, they thought it was going to be years till we had a vaccine.
Well, they feared everybody in the media with. They showed the hospital in Milan
Yeah.
and all those people on ventilators.
Yeah, but it was the same hospital for New York. The same
In New
picture.
York, they showed the exact same hospital. And then what did the media say then? Oh, we're sorry,
They
we
had
had technical
they had the
difficulties.
military taking the bodies because 500 people died in Italy or 600 people. 1,800 people die in Italy every day. That's a true fact. I don't want anyone to die, but it's a true fact. So where was the military taking the bodies before COVID? Like I don't know, like the fear. Why wasn't the military? So the second round that's been happening, or the third lockdown or whatever in Italy, there's more people dying. The military's not there anymore. Why? Because people are out on the streets to see themselves. When the first time, I'm not denying there's a virus. I don't want.
No,
Because
not at
I'm
all.
probably pissing off a lot of people talking like
Sure.
this, and I'm gonna have another shot of tequila because it's been a rough week. Okay.
Salute.
The camera's still good, brother. Because I don't know.
Nigel, is still okay? You gotta refill.
I got a little bit.
Okay. You guys good?
We're good. Salute.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You got the brother-in-law for there.
So you good, cuz?
I am. Thank you.
Salute, guys.
Salute.
So now that we're just still on this topic, it's just like, it just bothers me. Like, this is an interesting fact. You can take it as, I'm not saying the virus isn't, like we said, the virus is real, but just this is a fact. This is a true fact. Worldwide billionaires' wealth increased by $3.9 trillion from March 18th until December 31st, 2020. Not even one full year. The UN's International Labor Organization estimated the economic blow for the pandemic last year cost workers around 3.7 trillion. Wow, that's a pretty close number. The transfer of wealth, huh? $5 here, $5 there, and there you go.
I guess-
3.9 trillion later.
I guess the lockdown really worked, keeping the big corporations open.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier. Like, we all know this in our own personal lives. What was open and what was closed.
Yeah.
Right?
Costco,
Everything
Walmart.
in that medium to small size was closed. Boston Pizza was closed, but it's not a major corporation. McDonald's was open, right? All the fast food was open. All the big department
Costco.
stores were open.
Yeah.
All the malls were open. All these things were open.
Home Depot,
right?
yeah.
All the big corporations, right? Your Fortune 500s, everything Fortune 500 was open. And
But-
what was closed?
And the funny thing is, like here, like you have social distancing, you have everything. Everybody in the restaurants have to follow a certain set of rules. They have to play by these rules. You go to Home Depot. I remember that you had to line up. I was doing some work on the place I'm living. You have to go. You have to line up 20, 25 minutes to get in. Massive store, 150 people going in. And I said to the guy at the front, I go, and it's not his policy. He's just the guy standing there counting people. But I said, what happens if we all go in and we go to paint right now? Not 6 of us go to lumber. 6 of us go to.
Well, if they're
nuts and
Italian, it'd
bolts.
all be the concrete section. But
Sure.
that's
Well,
another story.
no, they'll call Joe. He's on quarantine. He
Follow
can-
concrete.
But that's kind of how you kind of
but
you get the
but
gauge
where are the
too.
rules though? Because you have
Like-
all these restaurants that are busting their asses. Look, how much plexiglass has the restaurant industry in Calgary
Right,
bought?
but who? So I mean, the environment's a major thing. We've got to pay carbon tax, but we can throw away 10 trillion masks a day and buy all this plastic. No problem.
I wish I
right?
would invest
It's
in
really
the
weird,
plexiglass.
you know.
Of course.
And you talk about the rules. Like you go in the grocery store, these and these signs are on the floor.
Directions.
Does anybody even
Yeah,
feel?
no.
Do you even have a little pang of guilt when you're walking down the wrong way on a one way?
Well, if you
Like-
don't, you're not following the signs.
I know, but like, who? I mean, I don't see anybody follow the signs. Nobody even gives me stink eye when I walk the wrong way. 'cause I don't really
do you know
care.
what people are
I'm gonna
doing?
go up this
They're
slope.
going to get the ketchup, or they're going
Right,
to
but
get
nobody,
whatever. Yeah.
nobody looks twice.
No.
The staff doesn't care. Other patrons don't care, and so that kind of speaks to like where are people are even afraid? They're not even afraid, and nobody cares. All these rules, you had to buy all of these stores have to spend all this money, put these signs on the floor. Nobody cares.
Well, they're going to have to scrape them off.
And
eventually.
now that you guys are talking about the media and restaurants and stuff, so a restaurant's been in the paper like crazy lately. Just so a year goes by, there's barely any outbreaks in restaurants, and all of a sudden now they're finding out outbreaks in restaurants. All this contract tracing and this and that. But first of all, how do you know that who brought it in, where it came from? So right now they're saying I think like 25% of cases are in schools. Okay,
wait,
Wait,
wait, don't
but
I
what
have
if-
that stat? Like in the news today, there's a major risk of COVID exposure at a Calgary immunization site.
Yeah, on your way to get
I
your
mean, like, go get your
vaccine.
vaccine, but you might get COVID on the way. But you shouldn't worry because you got your vaccine. You should be protected. I don't really understand what's happening there, but
But what if those people who went to that restaurant were at Costco and contracted
where did
the
they get
virus
it? Yeah,
there
of course. Or from
and
their
brought
kids.
it to the
But
restaurant?
it doesn't even boil down to
Kids are
that.
in school.
The government won't give you the stats. They've
Well,
said
then you
all
don't
along
know.
that
You don't
restaurants
know.
aren't a leading cause of spread.
But now all of a sudden, now it's
no,
there.
the press is telling you that a restaurant had
Yes. Well, now they're saying a second location from the same restaurant.
same restaurant. But
So the same
I
poor
believe-
guys,
I
right?
believe that's being targeted.
And
on
you
that
know what?
restaurant.
even if it's not though, if every restaurant in the city was a major cause of source, the government wouldn't be not saying it is, and they've been going out of their way to say we don't have statistics saying that it is.
Have you been to that restaurant?
Yeah.
The one I'm talking about? So, lately, have you been since the reopening?
No, no.
So you go in there, man. I was like, I'm in the penalty box. Like, I feel like I
Yeah.
got a red card or something in a soccer game. Like they had so much plexiglass
Oh, yeah.
floor to ceiling. Man, these guys are doing the best. Like, they actually have more rules because they're a bigger place. They're getting targeted. And
Well,
these, like,
they're under
come
more
on. And then
scrutiny,
you
too.
have these Muppets. I'm not gonna say this guy's name. This Muppets. This was his tweet. It should be extremely clear by now that you can spread COVID in a restaurant. Can we maybe take a 2-week pause from indoor dining so things can get completely out of hand? What the fuck is 2 weeks gonna do, buddy? Come on, man. Sorry for my language.
I
But
hate to say it, but BC is exactly under that rule right now.
They are.
like, what the hell is 2 weeks gonna do, man? Are you serious? Like, and the thing is, this guy.
It's called a circuit breaker.
Sir, yeah.
How long were we locked down last time?
No, but what pisses me off about this guy is this guy posted the article attacking the restaurant. So this guy is a part of the problem. He's the one. Why are you attacking small businesses, buddy? Why attack your livelihood?
What I find interesting is exactly the people making the rules are not affected in their pockets by any of the rules. It's very interesting.
Now, this same guy, though, also got reprimanded when he worked for a government agency for tweeting
But
some disparaging
he
things
has
about
18,000 followers, and the reason why I even seen this tweet, because I don't go on Twitter. I
No.
used to find Twitter entertaining until certain people got censored. So I find it's... No, I can't give the names, but I find it that since some people are censored on Twitter, it's not as funny. Anyways, that's another podcast. But anyways, I never go on Twitter. So I even have it for the business. I don't even use it. So all of a sudden, it comes up, like, not even on my Twitter news feed. It comes up on my, like, you know, on your phone sometimes, on your home
Trend-
screen, it'll come
trending
as a
or-
trend. It comes as,
Yeah.
this was retweeted. Like, why? You guys are part of the problem by retweeting this. What, do you work for the mainstream media?
Well, no, but some people. So, like, I mean, we talked about this. Fear is the path to the dark side. Like, you can't turn on a screen of any kind. Not your phone, not your tablet, not your computer, not your TV. Can't even hear the radio. It's a game. See how long you can go without hearing COVID on anything you turn on. It's impossible, right? And that's kind of what I was talking about. It's just this overwhelming, like, COVID. It's been a whole year. COVID.
A year, over a year.
So people, fear is a real thing. People are all kind of like, they get in their heads. I myself, I mean, at the beginning of the pandemic, dude,
You were saying
I was running around wearing plastic gloves in the Safeway and stuff. It was crazy talk.
Now that
but-
you guys are... No, but now you guys are saying that...
Don't
we're-
look at him like
sorry,
that.
I interrupted you. Sorry. But now, because this gets me so frustrated, I'm looking at... They actually, there was an article the other day saying 4 out of 10 cases you get from your house. Are you not supposed to stay home with your family?
I live by myself.
Well, then you're good, right? You're allowed 2 guests over. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, where does it end? Like...
Two
but
X's.
They're not going to... You know, even all these... You guys, man. I had a stressful week, all right? No, but like government facilities have had outbreaks all year long, and when a small business, it's just so easy to attack a small business. Do people understand what it takes to run a small business? Do
Let's
they-
take it deeper though, because they don't really care about you personally in that sense.
Yeah.
But what they should care about is local and
or the
private
people-
ownership. It's an important thing.
Or the people
Do
that
we want to
work
get
here?
to the point where like you can't eat anything that's not sent from like some
Yeah.
giant corporation? Like you want to have a small town guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really
no,
good
you're
for the
right.
economy. It's good for our health. It's good for well-being. We want to have small local businesses.
But
It's diversification. You want to end up in this. I've said it before. Go read 1984. You want everything to be from the same corporation? It's not a good look. It's too much power, right? You can't give all that to one person. Keep it spread.
No, and then there's these people that on the restaurant side of it, there's people that will comment on this guy's tweet, and then they'll say, "Oh yeah, restaurants do good with takeout. They make a lot of money. You know, they can send their guys." Do you fucking have any idea? You have no idea. You think I'm gonna close? You think? Look, so right now, let's talk about my restaurant. I'll give you guys true facts. You could come here on a Sunday. Maybe there's 1 table, 2 tables, right? You could come.
That'd be the one table on a Sunday.
Yeah. So you can come here on a Sunday, 1 or 2 tables. You can come here on a Tuesday, and I had a couple tables. So even if I'm at full capacity with COVID rules, I'm not at full capacity. So yes, on a Saturday or Sunday, Friday, Saturday, I mean, you could come here and we could be full, and I'm turning away people for 1 hour because everyone wants to come from 6 to 8. And if they can't come in those times, because if they come at 8:30, they're scared they got to leave at 10 because COVID goes away after 10 fucking o'clock. So
no,
then,
that's when it roams the
That's when
streets.
it
well, that's what comes out.
That's why you got to get
When
home.
it comes up.
So like, people don't understand. Like, it's not a third lockdown is gonna kill so many people. It's gonna destroy so many livelihoods. And you can come here with me on a Saturday or Friday. You come sit here at 10:59 when I'm kicking everyone out because there's cops across the street trying to get everyone out. You come here and we'll look across the street at the liquor store and we can see all the people going to get liquor to go to house parties. Because I don't think all those people are going to get liquor to drink by themselves. Dan, you already have the liquor at
Hey,
your
not,
house.
not everybody's cool, man. Like,
I don't think you need to go to the liquor store, Dan. You're already. Well, if you're gonna buy liquor to go to a house party, buy it for me before you leave.
That's right.
I feel your pain, brother. Like, it's
It's
rough.
just because the media, there's this attack. Man, it's been 1 year. Not everyone goes. We've had 4.5 months that we weren't allowed to open to the public, and the other 8 months we aren't even allowed to run properly.
But this is what I was going to say.
Come on, man, stop attacking us.
So you were closed to dine-in service for 4.5 months.
4.5 months, like.
So this 2-week thing in BC, the circuit breaker, is going to stop
It's
it all?
going to stop everything. We're all gonna
Did it
we're all
st-
gonna be okay.
Did it
I
stop
mean,
it in
they stopped
March?
it in BC, but like, I spent a lot of time in the East Kootenay, right, in that valley.
Yeah.
There's like
that's Alberta
100,000 people in
Yeah,
that
but
whole valley.
you gotta understand
I'm
that-
pretty sure there's like 2 cases of COVID. I don't know the facts. I should have looked it
But
up.
BC, this is their second
they're,
lockdown,
but
not
they're
their third.
affected. They're affected by it, right? All those restaurants. There's
No,
a company right now. They did a hardcore reno, looking ahead to the summer to see what's happening. They're supposed to open for this long weekend.
Yeah.
Boom, shut down.
Yeah. Well,
I feel your pain.
imagine if we do come to a lockdown now, just as everybody's kind of hoping that patio season's going to pull in enough money. They're with limited
Patio
capacity
season, your
stuff.
3 tables and the
No,
three
but
that the city
in
gives.
general, like you look around all the places around the city, they're getting these expanded patios. I know
No, that's a good thing.
At the brewery,
it's
we'll have
beautiful.
a 135-foot long patio this year.
That's awesome. That's
It is.
really good.
But if we get locked down again and we lose a month of that patio season, what does that do? All these businesses are going to start losing subsidies for rent. They're going to start having to pay back some of these deferred
And
utilities.
kudos to
like-
you for still being open.
Yeah,
because a
man,
lot of
you're
guys have
killing
gone
it.
already.
No, yeah, I know, but it's not just about me. It's about all the places.
the
I don't
whole
want other
industry.
No,
places.
I'm
to
just saying
close.
on a personal level,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
of course.
on the real, yeah, it's a huge pressure.
Like all I'm saying is it's been 4.5 months of lockdowns, another 8 months of restrictions. So now all of a sudden another 2-week lock. Like, come on, man. Who are these saying this shit?
Let's kind of pivot. So talking about the pressures, look at the fallout, right? So there's a stat, 1,000. We set a record. So December was the deadliest month for overdoses. They call it opioid poisoning. It's overdoses in Alberta, right? It was a
Oh, I
record
didn't
in
know that.
December, and 2020 we set a record in Alberta for overdoses, right?
That's
in our
not
history,
that's not a
of-
pandemic.
of opiates. Like we said, our history, and it's literally half the number. It's 1,000 deaths to the 2,000 COVID deaths, right? But we set a record of opiate deaths, right? We know alcoholism went up. We know domestic abuse has gone up. Quebec is having a little bit of an epidemic of like domestic abuse. I think there's like 20 women who've been murdered because of domestic abuse in the last, I can't remember. It's this year, anyways, right? And so there's some pretty tragic things that are taking place. There's some stressors, right? Because it's literally pressure. People are losing their livelihoods. They're losing their ability to make their money.
Losing their wives or families.
I argue, I understand values, but I argue that after you have oxygen, food, water, and shelter, money is next. And honestly, money kind of pumps ahead of shelter because you need the money for shelter.
Money and health.
Money's right there. Like,
Nowadays, you need money for
no, but
all
what
of
you
it.
need, like, you need your health, but your health can just go. But you need water, or you need oxygen, you need water, and you need food.
In that order.
But even then, water and food are kind of dictated by money. It's just what it is. And so that's why people are so frustrated, because they say, like, yeah, in an idealistic society, oh, money, money's not the priority. But we've made the world about money. And when I say we, it's not we. I didn't decide this, right? The same powers that are shutting us down and blocking the flow of money are the same powers that made the world about money. It's very interesting. And then what did you talk about, wealth transfer?
Yeah,
So I mean,
3.9
follow the
trillion.
money. This is why I'm a skeptic, for no other reason.
So
It's for those kind of reasons right there.
What's the true agenda with following the money? I feel
The rich are getting richer,
the rich are
and
getting
we're not
richer,
them.
obviously,
And by
we're not
rich, I
them.
mean you got to be like
The 1% of the 1%.
the 1%, exactly.
Of the 1%.
So like millionaires. My brother had a crazy stat, not a stat, but just a take. It's millionaires are the middle class.
Yeah.
Well, no. What is a middle class in Canada? What are you making for middle class? 80
we
grand.
talked
70?
about this, like what was a living wage? Like, what do you need to live a life that everyone thinks is in Calgary?
Well, they got that happiness index that like over 70 grand, your happiness doesn't increase.
right.
But I mean, when the average price of a house is 450, but that includes every house. If you want to live in any kind of decent neighborhood, you're paying 650. I mean, 70 G's
Yeah.
doesn't quite cut it.
I think that when we talk about, now let's talk on the positive, because it's true.
You know, as bad as your week was, did you get a boat twice the size of the Calgary Tower stuck in a river?
Maybe I had some product on that boat, all right? How about if that was
Oh,
full?
we all had some product on that boat. That's the point. Like,
They
But
said
how does that boat get stuck?
they said
What's
it
the
blew
narrative?
off course in a sandstorm. It's massive. Like it is.
There was
it is-
22,000 containers, I think.
but that's not the first trip that boat took through that canal.
No. Oh yeah, no. It goes. They
And
were
not the
talking.
only
About,
Everything's a
boat that went
coincidence, remember that.
is it?
It's never really happens for a reason. Because if if you believe in coincidences, well, no, everything's a coincidence because you don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, right? So when everything's a coincidence, it's
Free thinker, not conspiracy
Well, no, you can pull
theorist. A free
coincidence out of
thinker.
it. It's there is the theory that we find coincidences in things. It's like when you look out and you see something in a cloud, that shape isn't in the cloud. You see
Right.
it because you're looking.
So
for
is it a
So-
coincidence when you lobby a certain party, that party wins, they ban a pipeline, but then you own most of the railway?
That's not a coincidence. That's business.
And that's where conspiracy is. That's one of their lines. Like,
But
when
then you say
you
you're-
can't stack coincidences.
Right.
Like a single event,
yeah, of course,
fine.
a single, but when there's a
Two,
bunch,
right away you're going off the rails of two. Three, now you're into the world of straight. Something's up.
Dan,
You
you,
know?
were saying how much money did they lose per hour
They
with
said it was
that boat?
$400 million an hour, U.S. dollars, when that ship was stuck. That's why there was all this panic. I think it's 15% of all world trade goes through the Suez Canal.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
have you guys ever been to the Panama one?
No.
See, now I look like a bougie guy. I'm traveling
Look at
all the
you.
time. The Panama Canal was pretty cool. So if me and you got like a 15-footer or 20-foot, would we have a 20-footer?
No, we'd have an 80, 75.
No,
80.
well, if you go over 80, you pay more money. But I think it's
Well,
like
you pay-
18.
you pay
it's
by the
800,
foot.
880 if you're under 50 feet or something like that.
Yep.
But these boats, when we were there, they're saying most boats with the containers, they're paying 400,000 to 1.2 million to go through the
Well,
Panama Canal.
This one here, the
pretty
average
cool.
one to
It's
go
actually
through the
pretty cool to
Suez
see.
Canal.
Think about how many Nikes fit in one container, and
Oh,
this
yeah.
price. This is what it is.
Well, how about the oil that went? Didn't you remember the oil that went from Vancouver? But
Down
we don't
to
have a
the
pipeline,
Panama
so they had to go
Canal.
through the Panama Canal. Yeah, but
And
they
how
were
much
very
money,
efficient.
How much money are we losing per day not having that oil?
Well, but they were saying that for them to go down around the Cape, it costs them $300,000 more in fuel
Right.
than it does going through the canal. So they pay 100 or 150,000 to go through the canal.
This is the Panama.
The
The one
Suez.
that-
Fuel. People don't understand the fuel of like the cost of shipping, right? Like,
Oh.
I was talking to some dudes in Europe. 50 G's to cross the Atlantic, in fuel.
Oh, easily.
50 G's, man.
I think it's more than that. On a big ship like
That's a
that.
yacht. No, I'm talking about a yacht.
Oh, on a yacht. Yeah,
A
yeah,
yacht.
yeah.
You got like 10, 20 people.
You know, because Dom and I are going to go down through the Panama one. I've been looking at some
Yeah,
boats.
on a
and-
15-footer Bayliner.
If you sail, you sail. But like,
18-footer Bayliner. I used to have one of those in Kelowna.
No, they start.
That was my bougie lifestyle. Bill Gates hasn't done that shit on me, all right?
don't get me started on the oil stuff. Exactly. Like, instead of carbon tax, stop buying stuff then, right? If you don't want goods.
It's the same thing. It's about consumption.
There's no electric ship. I can assure you. It's not even on the radar.
It's very hard. It's like an electric plane. Like, how heavy are the batteries to keep a plane in the air?
You might get. I'm surprised we don't have them because we have nuclear icebreakers.
Oh,
You
we
guys
should
heard
have
about
nuclear
those?
everything.
Those things
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah.
Like these big ships break ice up in the Arctic. They're nuclear powered.
Yeah.
But we don't have cargo ships to do that. I don't know why. I don't know why.
They
Maybe
can-
somebody could fill me in, but
There was a thing a while back. They were talking about nuclear reactors that are basically the size of a bar fridge and then enclosed in a case, and they could run like a pretty substantial, like a job site, or you could set something up out
no,
in the
but
middle
like
of
to
nowhere.
power a cargo ship though.
Oh, it'd be easy. Yeah. Well, every
Well, a nuclear
every
reactor would do it, but you need
every U.S. aircraft carrier has one.
right. But the cargo ships don't.
No, I know.
The cargo ships burn like diesel or whatever. You know.
Yeah. And you only have to get gas every 25 years in a nuclear reactor too.
So, remember when I
Right,
said
right. But the product lasts for 300.
remember when I said I was going to say something positive? I think we just talked about middle class, but I didn't. Did I say that Canada has the best middle class?
No.
I think in Canada, that's why I was going on a positive note.
Canada's a great country,
A great
though.
country for middle class. That's why I'm
really
trying to
is.
go on the positive.
Yeah.
Like we talked about middle class, but then we got because we love to we get
Nuclear
side.
reactors. And
It's like a little bit of tequila, and oh, we're over there now.
Especially
it's like we're
here in
boys,
Calgary.
man. We're
Especially
men.
here
Our
in
heads
Cal-
go everywhere.
What are we
Especially
talking
here in
about?
Calgary, we have the best middle class.
Yeah, we have
in
a
Canada.
really good middle class, and the whole thing I'm saying is, with everything going on, it's like they're trying to get rid of the middle class. Everyone's gonna be just a little bit
that way.
below middle class, because to be middle class now, you're gonna have to make more money. It's just a fact.
We can't help but feel there's an agenda at play when you just want to shut down all opportunity for commerce. We're running deficits, but we don't want to do anything to profit. It seems weird.
I-
In a world that's set up to be made by money,
But somebody's
none of
profiting.
us chose.
Somebody's profiting.
I think we've been heading in that direction, though, since long before COVID.
So
right.
The middle class was, I would say, especially in North America, was under siege is a little bit.
Do you think maybe it's
dramatic,
heading
but-
more towards a socialist country where
I have
our
a
democracy
really
is being
good,
pushed away?
debate with somebody last week about socialism, and the simple answer always is, name a country where socialism has worked.
Well, I got some stats here,
Ah,
but they're interesting stats.
But, like-
they don't really play it out like exactly what we think.
But even when you say a lot of, because sorry, you say socialist countries, they say like Scandinavian countries are socialist, but they make money off capitalism.
But they don't make the list of the top 10 socialists as
But they're
far
not-
as the
that's what
amount
I'm-
of government intervention.
they're
within
still
them.
capitalists with social
they're
programs.
just
Right,
really
right.
highly.
They just pay more taxes, but they're still
just highly
it's based
taxed
on
capitalists,
capitalism.
yeah.
The state doesn't own Volvo.
Exactly.
The state doesn't own IKEA.
Well, China owns Geely.
But
Geely
China
owns
Auto
everything.
So everybody
Volvo
talks
now.
about the Scandinavian countries. I got a few lists of top 10,
They're doing a
right?
nice
Top
job.
10 GDP, top 10 capitalist countries, top 10 socialist countries, top 10 carbon emitters, and top 10 carbon taxes, right? The cost of taxes. The only list that the Scandinavian countries show up on, and also quality of life. So they show up on two lists, the Scandinavian countries. They show up on highest carbon taxes and quality of life, but nothing else. They don't have the highest GDP. They're not the best capitalist countries. They're not the best, but they're not the top socialist countries. Right?
So, but when-
And they don't have
so
the highest
they're-
GDPs.
they're
So
cost-
they don't make the top 10 in the
So
highest
does that
GDP.
mean statistically that the higher your carbon tax, the happier you are in life?
Well, I mean, if you just follow, weird assumptions
But
on
are they
numbers,
saying they're the
that's
happiest?
kind of what it
They're
means.
the
No,
happiest,
they're
or
the-
the,
Well, no,
They're-
I
they're
mean,
the
we all
best.
know like Sweden, Switzerland, Norway. These countries have always been making the
I
top
heard
of
like
the list.
Panama is one of the happiest countries to live in the world. I don't know. Somebody told me a long time ago. Maybe it was in a cab in Panama. The driver told me.
But like,
Happiest country.
a
He
take
was
I
happy.
found pretty interesting. So like, of all the countries on the top 10 of pollution emitters, Canada's not in the top 10. We're actually number 11. All the top 10 who pay carbon tax, none of them are on that top 10 list of pollution emitters.
No.
And they're all the Scandinavian countries. And I was kind of shocked by this, but Sweden pays $133 per ton of CO2, right, in carbon tax. Canada is 22 as of 2020, so it's up 30% now, but we pay $22 in carbon tax compared to their 133. But on the list of top 10 emitters, we're number 11. Sweden's nowhere near the list. So it's very interesting. And those are the countries that they don't make the full socialist list. And like the socialist list, so you guys know who they are, they're the countries you would think they are, right?
Venezuela.
China, India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Tanzania, Nepal, North Korea, Sri Lanka, Portugal, and Laos.
So
Those are the
Venezuela,
countries on the
Venezuela and
socialist
Cuba
list.
are communism then, or they're not on there? Well, they're just their GDP.
Yeah,
is
they're
not on
straight. They're
But-
straight like communism.
would
They
you-
don't make that list of top 10.
You consider India socialist?
I didn't make this up.
No.
This
Yeah,
this
no,
is according to
Because they have a relatively strong capitalist move there.
Economic Freedom of the
But
World Index.
Maybe the government owns enough, like the trains and stuff like that. Maybe.
What do you think immigration is like to these socialist countries?
Well, what is immigration based off of?
That's the thing.
What
and
is it?
so
What
Do you
is
think anybody
immigration
wants
based
to
off
go
of?
there?
You know who? I listened to this president of El Salvador. It's 38 now. He was 36 when he started talking about immigration. He's like, why do people? Nobody wants to leave where they're from. If you're from Italy, you don't want to leave Italy. If you're from Grenada, you don't want to leave Grenada. If you're from PI, you don't want to leave PI. Or
But we all did.
but you know what I mean? Like all I'm saying is,
but when you're forced because of the money.
but what is it? It's
Or
security.
security, yeah.
Huge thing is it's first it's security. You don't want to die.
Yeah.
You want to feel safe.
Well, it
and
depends.
second is economic opportunity.
right.
So those are the two drivers of immigration.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, this president, we'll see what happens. He says that after 4 years, he's gonna have nobody leaving El Salvador. That's what he believes. He's pro business. He wants people to invest in his country, and he wants to get rid of MS-13. He doesn't want to be corrupt, because we all know Central America is very, very corrupt. everywhere's corrupt. Canada's corrupt.
Everyone's corrupt. It's money, man.
It's money. But I don't know. We'll see. And like, now that we're talking about this, so if we're capitalism versus socialism, say, right? If
One quick question.
Yeah.
How much does China pay per ton for carbon tax?
I don't know, but they didn't make the list. They're the number one emitter in the
I
world.
was just going to
the
say.
number one emitter. They
And-
don't make the list.
and
Number
does
2 is India.
India probably
For
emitters.
oh,
Now, quick
Number
question.
2 emitter.
no,
BC
they
BC
the U.S. India's 3.
Are they okay?
Wow.
BC is the largest exporter of coal in North America, and most of it goes to China. Does BC have to pay carbon tax on
I
that
don't know.
coal?
It's a good
that they-
question. Fact finders, let us know.
We need to.
but do you pay on your exports or just what?
Well, that's
you
what I'm
consume?
wondering because
I don't know what the rules are.
They don't go after the big guy. They go after like
Well,
my
no, but
heating my house and heating my restaurant
Right.
and
but they're
driving
going
to work.
They're going pretty heavily after oil and gas. That is
Yeah.
the industry they're going after for this. And I'm just curious if they don't have to pay it on that export. Makes me wonder. Maybe they're being a little.
We shouldn't have to pay on our export. but we
Maybe,
don't,
maybe
we
they're
don't
being a
get to
little
export.
hypocritical.
That brings another point too about carbon tax. So according to the IMF, I mean carbon tax. I can't say allegedly because IMF reports it. So carbon tax is the best way of lowering carbon emissions in a nation. And I mean they just leave it out there as a stat. But to me, if you break it down a little bit, what that really says is you're really disparaging against the poor, because you're literally having people that use less carbon because they can't afford it. So you can't drive as much, or you got to give up your car, or you got to wear 3 sweaters and put on a blanket at home because you can't turn the heat up when it's cold. Like, and they see that as being like moving the needle. Like it's a good thing.
Or it's just
But-
going to cost
but
us
you're,
more.
But you're taking down people's quality of life.
Yeah, of course. That's
And
why
you're-
the middle
and,
class.
And when I say people, you're taking down the lower income members of society. Like
So
it's a class game.
Your top 11 emitters there, China number 1, does it give you a percentage of what they take? Because if I remember looking at the graph correctly, China is like over a third of the world's carbon emission.
Okay, so China is 10 gigatons compared to Canada's half. All right, China's 10 in first place. The United States is half of that with 5. India's half of that with 2.6. And then Russia 1.7, Japan, Germany, Iran,
it's
South
pretty-
Korea, Saudi. Canada's down to half a ton. And on that list, none of the countries on that list are paying carbon tax except for Canada. And the
Correct.
countries who are paying carbon tax are the countries with small populations and very low emissions.
So even if we took 11 through 20 and they fell off the face of the earth and they used no energy, what would be the main difference? It would probably be less than the difference between China and America.
It's pretty interesting, actually.
So
Yeah, it's a very good point.
You know that you said that carbon, they say carbon tax, it gets rid of carbon, right? That's what did you say, the IMF said? that?
IMF. Yeah.
Okay, so here, this is what I read. It does. It may increase air pollution. This is a different reason why though. More expensive energy in Canada will force companies, particularly those in manufacturing, energy extensive industries, to shift business operations and the jobs they support overseas. Oftentimes, these countries, such as China and India, have weaker environmental standards, less efficient methods of production. So they're saying they're gonna produce more in other
Yeah.
countries.
It's true, and it's
Even here,
but
where our
it's
oil industry is
literally
going to get
already
destroyed.
happening.
Yeah, it's
Like,
already happening
it's
here.
literally already happening.
They're moving. They're leaving Canada to go to the States.
Well,
and now we're producing less when we're more ethical.
manufacturing companies were leaving Ontario to go to the States because utilities were cheaper.
So it's just saying
Like,
this could
they're
actually
gonna go where
make
they make
more
money.
air pollution. I'm not saying it will, but
But Canada's oil and gas, people have to understand, like, so outside of the oil sands, which is why we are a major player in oil and gas, it is because of the oil sands. Our conventional oil and gas, it's unconventional, but when you drill for oil, it's some of the cleanest standards in the world. It probably is best in class, right? But none of that oil is being drilled and produced and or sold in Canada or anywhere else for that matter, but it's all coming from somewhere else. For every barrel, and I stand by this, production is going up. Internationally, it's going up.
consumption's going up.
Consumption's going up. That's what I meant. Consumption's
follows
going
the
up,
other.
not production. Production is not doing anything in this country. But consumption is literally going up. Consumption's going up. And so, as consumption goes up, and production is lower in Canada, it's quite obvious it's increased somewhere else.
So now, if it was labeled as, well, in the Supreme Court, what did they say? It was constitutional.
Constitution.
So when I go buy groceries, I don't pay GST because it's an essential thing we need to eat.
As long as it's something not prepared.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
bread, water, whatever, things you like, simple, like vegetables. So now when I heat my house at
Staples.
-40, it's not essential. That's constitutional. I got to pay tax on heating my house.
It won't be next month.
You don't know in Calgary what's in store.
Well,
But
back-
so like,
sorry.
go, cuz, go, say.
No, I was saying back in the day we were allowed to have fireplaces in our home and warm up our home. Now we're not allowed to have a real fireplace in our home. For insurance reasons.
With burning in
I think it's
Dan?
just
You can.
no,
but
you
it's-
can't. It's insurance, I think.
Insurance
Well, no,
reasons.
and there are different rules around it and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I have a friend who's.
But sorry for cutting you off.
No. But in the end, so by design, a carbon tax will make affordable energy more expensive. More expensive energy means more expensive goods and services. It disproportionately hurts low-income communities and seniors. It damages Canadian economic competitiveness. It may increase air pollution, like I said. So, like, these are not good things, especially to get out of debt. Canada, what are we going to get out of debt with?
Exactly.
Oil and
With
gas.
what? Oil and gas.
Yeah.
But let's just attack our industry that's going to get us out of debt.
I heard an interesting stat. 25% of Canada's GDP is associated to the housing market. And that's the full housing market. That includes rent, everything, like home sale, everything to do with
Property
housing.
management, everything,
25%. We rank at the top of the world. Like, we're really high, right? And we all know, like, we got this crazy housing boom going on because everyone's taking advantage of these really, really low interest rates. People are buying houses like crazy. In Calgary here, I don't think we're at record prices here, but they're up pretty high, right? It's a
creeping,
seller's
yeah.
market. But Vancouver and Toronto are out of control, right? Especially Toronto. It's just going gangbusters right now.
I don't get it. I don't get it right now.
But the crazy thing is, I mean, I know old timers. Sorry, Dan, who lost their homes in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Because they
interest
got,
rates were like
they showed
23%.
up. I
Well, that
think
was-
they probably bought their house when interest rates were around 3-5%, but they hit double digit. It was
People
like
were-
credit
yeah.
card interest.
People were putting their keys in the mailbox
Yeah,
and walking away.
leave the key on the table and you're
There
out.
were
So
a lot of realtors bought houses for $1, bought them from the bank, bought the repos.
My mom used to
and
leave the
stuff.
keys in the mailbox when
people
if the door was
pay
locked back.
attention. Your mortgage is 25 years, and you signed a term for 5 years, and we're running the highest deficit in the history of this country. What do you think's going to happen?
They're
What do you
going-
think's going to happen sometime in the next 5 to 10 years?
But if they raise them that much,
Pay
they're
attention.
gonna
No, no, no,
destroy
no,
us.
no.
They're
they're talking
sucking
about,
everybody in at 1.6%.
No. They're
No,
going
no.
to put a tax on your house. When you sell your house, you're going to
They
pay
were
a
talk-
tax.
I heard that on
It's
the radio
already,
this morning. I
they've
heard it on the
Capital
radio
gain.
this morning.
They've been
Capital
working
gains
on-
on your
Capital
property,
gains.
right?
Your
On your
house.
Literally,
Yes.
they talk. I heard it on,
on your private residence.
and these. I don't know who these puppets are talking on the radio, but they were
Nope.
advocating for this to the max.
This-
they were like, "We need a tax to sell our houses.
They
It's
have
a
been-
good thing. We need it." I'm
They've
like,
been pushing
more
hard for-
government control. Pretty much.
So let
The
me guess,
government's
that's
already in
gonna-
both my pockets. Now you want to come in my back pocket too? You.
That's going to balance the budgets.
Well, it's gonna put us.
What
it's-
did it, what did
well, it's
Harper
a substantial
say?
amount, though.
There's a little budget, little budget.
Well, I did see
Everything Harper said, people can hate on him, whatever. Everything he said came true.
Definitely.
It's
He's an economist.
but the
is
economy
what he-
doesn't matter anymore. It's all about feelings.
Well, I did see
Like,
the
who cares
graph.
about your pocket? It's about your
I'm
feelings.
sure it was a right-wing group put it out, but there was a graph out about the Liberals' projected budget, what it actually was, projected budget, and it was supposed to be deficit was shrinking until I think it was last year they were supposed to
But
have
it's
a
growing.
surplus, and the curves could not be more opposite of what.
Yeah,
they were
but
supposed
they're
to
gonna
be.
blame everything on COVID, right?
Sure.
It's
Oh,
an
no,
easy
this
way
is
out. Easy way out. Just
best check ever written for them was this. Yeah, no,
How convenient.
works out well.
so yeah. In the end, if you're doing something,
Follow
you're
the
gonna-
money.
You're gonna get a private company to do anything over the government. It's better. It's more efficient.
There's certain things you can't. Like, you're not going to have the government do defense, or you're not going to have a private company do defense. And realistically, prisons don't work overly well.
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
States
I
as-
get. Yeah. I
Well,
get.
prison
private
turned to bit. Go ask our
Prison's
neighbors
a-
to the south of that looks.
That's what I'm
right?
saying. It doesn't work well in the States. And there's a lot of things. And I think there are a lot of places. I think.
Well, it
government-
works well depending which
Well,
side
I
you're on.
I guess
If
it
you're an
depends.
investor, you're looking real
anytime-
good.
But you know what, though? It's not a great place to be a prison guard. It's not like it. It's like everything else that it gets dumbed down. Who will do it for less? Who will take the least money to do it? And it's how people get pushed out of contracts. But there are jobs that's why we have governments. Like,
Sorry, I'm gonna go back to this guy from El Salvador, this president, and he said before to open a business, it could take up to 3 months because you need 15 permits.
Mhm.
Now he wants to go. You could do it in a week because we're gonna do less permits. In the end, I get it. Like, we need government, we need control. We don't want anyone just to do anything. But the less red tape, the better it is. You
Exactly.
need to be pro-business.
But that's small decentralized government. That's what capitalism is, right?
Well, capitalism is
When
less
you end up with
government
this
in your life.
Big government machine of all the bureaucracy.
That-
That's what shows up.
that
Then we're in the
goes-
world of carbon tax.
See, I think that goes back to the
Pay us $10, we'll give you back $9.
I think it goes back to the libertarians where you want your government to be the smallest it can be and still be efficient. And you don't want them in your church. You don't want them in your bedroom. You don't want any of those things. But you do have to have that government.
That was a
It's,
Trudeau quote.
Mine or yours?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. This dates back to science class back in junior high. But carbon, isn't it good for our trees?
Well,
don't they breathe in the carbon and release oxygen?
Well, we've been cutting down all the trees for farmland, so I mean, we've been doing it to ourselves on some front.
Which country has the most trees
When
in
I
the
say
world?
we,
Canada.
again, it's not the citizens of the world who do these things; it's the
But
corporations.
who has the most trees in the world?
Canada
Canada,
does.
right?
But we're cutting down all the grade A wood. And
How
send it
many
over to
trees
China.
has the Liberal government planted since they care about carbon tax so much?
Well,
Have they planted any trees? I don't know. I'm just
Well, no,
wondering.
I think they had a big plan to do it. I think they spent about $1 billion for that wee
And what,
charity,
there's-
and that was
there's-
going to be to plant trees.
But
and
there's
that-
trees in Trudeau's back on his cottage.
That seems to have taken a turn for the worse.
Sorry if there's any Liberals watching. We still love you. We're just talking, all right? Don't.
Your people too.
We're not tree huggers. We're just looking at science.
Maybe we should be. We'd have more trees, less cars.
Self-determination comes from your own hard work. I'll tell you
You
that.
know what, man?
Not from some Oz in the sky handing you a check. If that's how you think you got to get by, it's not a good look.
What's free?
Because then you don't have power. You don't have
In the end of the day, I
self-determination.
think like all of us, we were raised by our parents. You know, they let us do this, let us do. We want freedom, and it comes even in any. You open a business, you want freedom. We want more freedom to let us make the choice.
I think we gotta go to Texas, man.
Why in the end, I believe capitalism creates freedom of choice, freedom of what I want to buy. I get to choose what I want to buy. I get to choose how to live my life, and that's why it's called a free market. I don't want
The market should dictate price. I agree, right? You
Well-
want to go to a concert and it's the hottest concert. You want to go see the weekend.
is-
You want to sit in the front row. It's
yeah.
going to cost you $1,000.
But
you want
is
to go
it-
see the
is
Super Bowl. It's
the
going to cost you
market-
$10,000.
It's not a free market right now when we're like, oh, everyone's gonna say, well, it's only a pandemic. It's just a year or two.
no,
but we're not. Everything's controlled. Something's up right now.
You know, if you want to
With the
take
housing
again,
market inflated and everything, and we're not working.
devil's advocate side again, we
I
were
think
talking about.
capitalism also shows quality. Like if I want to go to a restaurant down the street and it's got the same pasta dish as you, but it's cheaper, but the quality sucks.
But you get to choose that. That's the beauty of it.
That's
That's
what,
the beauty
that's
of
what
it.
works.
That's freedom. That's democracy.
Competition's good. Competition actually makes stuff
vote,
better.
Vote with your dollar.
It'll
That's-
weed itself
That's the
out.
only vote that counts.
Yep.
Dollar.
Yeah, quality and price will
a
weed
true
itself
dollar. A true dollar. Not
Like,
the,
don't you believe
not
capitalism?
the everything that's
do you believe-
printed out.
Do you believe capitalism believes in people? Meaning
out.
that
To a certain point.
No, it believes in products. It doesn't believe in
No,
people.
it believes in profit.
Most people
Touche.
who are profiting do take advantage, though. in
Well, no, that's what I was
capitalism.
going to say.
But that's where
You were saying earlier about maybe somebody donates hundreds of millions of dollars to a political party and then a pipeline gets squashed and they own all the railroads.
okay, but
Is
when
that capitalism? Do you have a chance to have your say in that market? Unless you own, the other parts of the.
I think our representation is a little bit skewed. Like, because vote with your dollar is what counts the most, and that's at the end of the day, that's what the citizens.
For a
I swear that's
business,
what got out
yeah.
the podcast. The people we gotta be smart for ourselves, right? We gotta understand. It's not a. The divisions don't exist on any other function but rich and poor, right? And poor doesn't mean you're homeless. Poor means you don't have $100 million. So we're all poor, right? And we have to understand that. We have to understand the game being played against us. We're getting played. We have all the money. Our collective dollar outweighs all the billionaires.
Well,
But we have to work in unison. And it's
where did
easier
Am-
for 100 guys in Davos to work together than it is for the whole world. But the sooner we realize we're all on the same page, the better off it is for us.
The thing to remember, Amazon's best year last year. Where did all the money come from that was their sales?
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
Not for me. 'cause
When I
don't
meant
buy
Bill
it.
Gates didn't make Bezos rich.
That's right.
We did.
Yep.
And they actually we had no choice, though.
Because you couldn't go to a store.
Well, they scared you so bad you didn't want to go to the store.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
there's people are still scared.
But what's so safe of ordering a package being packaged in a warehouse, delivered by somebody who had their hands down their pants or up their nose? They're
Well, if
putting
it's
it
cold,
on
you
No,
Before
your
you're
not only that, the environment matters
You
so
don't know.
much, right? All the plastic in the
Yeah,
ocean, all
sure.
the plastic in the air, all the waste. If I order this pen right here on Amazon, how big is the box going to be? How big is the box gonna be?
Size of a shoebox.
It's out
Double-
of control.
double the
it's
size.
out of control, right? And like, there's no regulation on that. So here's me. I'm heating my house and I'm driving to work. God forbid I want to go to Banff. You're gonna charge me carbon tax, but there's no legislation that says don't put a box big enough to fit King Kong for a pen. Like, it's kind of silly, you know?
But logically, you getting in your car, going to work, and going to Banff, you're stimulating the economy. You're getting gas.
Exactly.
stimulating the
Yes,
economy.
of course.
Spending
Of
money.
course.
But nobody sees that. Let's order a box with a little pen touched by someone with their hands down their pants.
But even when we talk about our grandparents coming here, like they were great, they worked hard, but they didn't stimulate the economy because they always thought
Oh no, they did. That was the generation that
they
built-
wouldn't go to restaurants, they wouldn't do those things.
But that wasn't a thing back
but
then, nearly.
That's right. Things
They
have
bought
changed.
houses.
That's right.
But they were always worried
And they
about the
bought
rainy
goods.
day. They're always worried about the rainy day.
Yeah,
Now
they
our
saved
gen-
a lot.
they
Our
saved a
generation
lot.
got stupid. But in a
We're-
way, because we're all about like live
But
for the
that's
moment.
But in our generation, it's in one way it's bad, but in one way that's why we have this economy.
Well, how many people's grandparents had a car that became cool because they had it so long it became cool again? Like people buy a car and they drive for 20 years, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to know that if you had a leather couch or a big screen TV, you were rich once
Yeah.
upon a time.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have that now?
Yeah.
Everybody, like, and it's credit. Like, they got us all bamboozled. We live in a very material world.
So when I was saying
we do
before,
it to ourselves.
capitalism believes in people. It's because capitalism, you get to make the
Yes.
product, you get to make the choice. But in a socialism, the state makes the choice for you. So in the end, capitalism does believe in people because we get to make choices for ourselves.
Sure.
So that means the man gets to decide how he lives, or
I
the
think
woman.
it's aligned to the human spirit as well.
So-
Because we kind of talked about this earlier. This is slippery now. There's this belief that everybody's created equal. And being treated with equality and being equal is not the same thing.
100%.
We're so clearly not equal, you know? It's pretty obvious to me. I mean, it's obvious to everybody. If you're honest with yourself, you're going to know that you're just not equal, right?
When you're that good, right? You're not equal to other people.
It's hard to keep up.
Let's just say you want to play if you want to play basketball against Michael Jordan,
Well, he's old now. You might have a run at him.
I wouldn't have no run at him. Even if I played my best game.
Even your best game.
My best game and say, hey, Jordan, give me a 20-point handicap. No, that's not
But
right.
we're talking about
Jordan will be 85 years old, get off the bed in the retirement home and beat your ass. Like, it is what it is.
He could give me 20
No,
points.
but now that
and
we're
beat me
talking
to
about
21.
sports too, though, it's true. Okay, yes, some people are gifted, but you look at like in soccer. If anyone knows about soccer, they know that Messi, I think, is a hard worker. I'm not putting him down, but he was born with so much talent. Ronaldinho was born with so much talent. I'm not saying Ronaldo didn't have talent, but Ronaldo worked his ass off. Not fat Ronaldo. That guy was the phenomenon, the best. But the new Ronaldo, Portuguese Ronaldo, that guy works hard, man. That guy's in the gym working all the
that's
time.
what
man.
takes best in class. Like, to me, best in class is natural talent and the hardest work.
the hard work,
That's
yeah.
Jordan. Everyone says Kobe. All the
Kobe, yeah.
legends worked their tails. All of them did, right?
I have one request.
They had a lot of talent
Yeah.
too.
If you know I get a little older and you pass me on and you get another Dan, can you please not refer to me as Fat Dan?
I've never called you fat.
No, but Fat Ronaldo. he was pretty good.
Yeah, but Fat Ronaldo was the best. Everyone always talks about the best players. Now this is for the future podcast when it comes to the Euro Cup. Man, Fat Ronaldo, if you wanted the best forward ever to score goals, people talk about all these guys, Fat Ronaldo. He got fat, he slept with transvestites, it was messed up, man. All the talents in the world, he got caught. Then you know Ronaldinho, everyone knows Ronaldinho, if you don't know soccer or not. The guy went to Paraguay. Even people in Canada know who Ronaldinho is. He went to Paraguay with a fake passport. How fucked up are you? And he went to jail in Paraguay. Was it Paraguay or Peru? Paraguay, yes. What the fuck? These celebrities are messed up. We think we're messed up. Maybe we're not that messed up, man.
What about Maradona? God rest his soul.
Maradona everyone was all sad. I was sad too when he passed away this last year because he was God to me when it on the field, off the field. The guy was politically
The hand of God.
he was lost. But everyone was sad. I was sad too. I was actually in quarantine because I had COVID at the time when he died, so I didn't know if it was real. I was hallucinating.
Third time.
No, that was the first time when I really had
I
it.
think those are magic mushrooms.
And I'm like, dude, this guy's lucky he lived this long with the amount of drugs he did. Why are you guys all sad, man? You should have died 20 years ago, man.
So we go back. We have to believe we're not all the same.
No, we're not.
We're
No.
diverse.
No, we're not. And that's a
We're
beauty. That's why
diverse.
Calgary's beautiful, because we're a diverse city. Now we're going back to episode 1, huh? No, but you were talking about opportunities earlier. Like, okay, so we all don't have the same opportunities.
Edit that out.
We all don't have the same opportunities. But if you get the opportunity, it's your decision how you're going to take it, right? So maybe I have a restaurant because I had opportunities in my life and I took those opportunities and I did my best to take those opportunities. We're all not gonna have the same. Like some people are born rich, some people are born poor. It's just I think you got to seize on that opportunity. And this goes back to I always bring A Bronx Tale, the movie A Bronx Tale. Remember he always talks about wasted talent. I know this is a mafia movie, but this movie is like everything he said in this movie is true. The worst thing in life is wasted talent. There's so many people that have so much talent and they're actually good and they love what they do and they waste it. It doesn't mean I'm not saying sports. It means maybe you're good at math or you're good at
Artist
something.
or a
Don't waste
chef
your
or
talent,
whatever.
man.
No.
Wasted talent
But you
is
really
the
got to
worst.
do you. And we kind of touched
Yeah.
on this
Yeah,
earlier.
that's
Like
right.
everybody wants to be a pro athlete, but why is that? Because that's what the influence is, right?
But maybe because in the end, when I was younger, I loved play soccer. Like when I played soccer, I felt like even now when I don't because COVID and I'm out of shape. But if I can go back and play over 35 now, when I'm on the field, I forget about everything. I forget about everything. It's like I'm in this happy place. Same
Right,
when I'm
but-
drinking with my
but
buddies.
that's your fun. I mean,
Right.
I have a lot of fun doing. Well, I have hobbies too, right? But that's not my life pursuit.
Yeah, of course.
No, you
And
go,
that's
you go
what I'm
ride
saying.
on a
So, like-
motorcycle, you're enjoying
But
it.
if you
So
can
Yeah,
do what
exactly.
you love,
I'm not trying to race motorcycles.
You're not
you know?
gonna be in
I'm not a
the-
Red Bull skier, but
not
I
gonna be
enjoy
MotoGP.
both those things. They're good hobbies of mine, right?
But if you can do what you love and make money, that's the ultimate goal, right? I have a
Well,
restaurant. I love what I
but-
do.
but-
Not all my customers. Some of them are
here's-
assholes.
But yes, but no, because I mean, I'm not cut out to race motorcycles or to be a Red Bull
Yeah.
skier. They're my hobbies, and I don't have to like feel that my life is like what. So I have a crappy life because I can't ski and
yeah,
make
yeah,
money.
no, of course.
Personally, I suspect that if I had to make my money skiing, I'm pretty sure there's bad days in the office no matter what you do. I'm pretty sure that's how it
Sure
works,
there are,
right?
yeah.
If you think about the pressure of that, you have to do this jump. I'm not feeling it today. You sign the contract, do the jump, right? Or artists, you see it all the time, make the album. I'm not feeling creative this year. Screw you, make the album.
Well, when you're making 20 million a year, make the fucking.
Well, no, but you're a motorcycle racer, and the call comes through
Your
your,
life is
radio.
on the
that-
line.
Well, but the
Yeah.
call comes through your radio to let your teammate go by because you need more
Well,
points.
you
for
look
the
at
team.
Schumacher,
Right.
man. Schumacher had the most dangerous job, and he hurt himself skiing.
Yeah.
Fucking, that's crazy.
So I mean, I don't make any qualms. Like I never aspired to be a professional skier or a professional motorcycle. Those are my hobbies, and I enjoy them.
What did you want to be when you were growing up?
He wanted to be an oil
Successful,
and gas.
man.
Back to that
I
wasted
wanted to be
talent.
successful. It's true, really true.
The wasted talent thing. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have that right person opening up that right door for you, like a very political world, you're not gonna get anywhere.
Yeah,
Like you
but
said, money, and people you know will get that opportunity
Networking.
for you.
The network is
Networking.
huge.
But okay, so
I think the higher you go, the worse that gets.
maybe now things are changing with everything going on. But 20 years ago, you go back to 2003, 2004, less than 20 years ago. If you wanted to do something in this country, I think you could do it. It's becoming a little harder,
It's
but
got harder, man.
it got harder. But I'm not saying our parents
Oh,
had
and
it
was-
easier. They had
was
it
harder.
hard.
It was harder in 2003.
There was
than it
less
was in
competition, though. It
83.
was just less people
What's that?
and less
I think-
opportunities around.
It was harder in 2003 than it was in 1983.
There was good times in Alberta in 2006. Those times of booming times.
It's been cycling the whole thing.
Yeah, I was just-
I've gone through like four
Constantly, yeah.
the
reason people were leaving-
gas cycles.
Yeah.
What did we say?
I got
If
a
you live in
20-year
Alberta,
career.
you've been through 4 recessions if you're 35 years old or something like
Well,
that.
the NEP,
Ridiculous.
it was a prime minister. What was his name? Trudeau.
Another one.
Crushed the business here.
Hey, we don't learn from our bad mistakes, right?
It's no, but good times come and go. I always say, just as things never stay terrible forever, they never stay great forever, and we will never learn, and we will keep chasing these ups and downs, and that's just part of life.
I don't know. I'm an optimist, man. I feel like
Oh, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
no, but I feel that
times are
people will
good.
wise up eventually. Like things that's exactly it. It gets to a boiling point. Like we're getting close to what allegedly created North America in the first place. North America as it is, right? What happened? The Borgia Suite took advantage. There were too many serfs. They got pissed off. They wanted their self-determination, so they crossed the ocean. They came and dealt with this weather, and boom, they made their own lives, right? We're repeating the whole thing all over again.
But where do you go from here? You
Well,
can't
no,
you can't
but-
go across an ocean.
Well, no, there's no ocean to cross, but there's rebellion's rebellion. It just is, man. The pot starts to boil. It'll boil over. You know how that it's
Oh,
physics, man.
Yeah, no, we have, like we said, we got to come back from this, but
And there's bubbles on the surface. We're gonna get at you next week.
I just think people got to
All-
start waking up.
All
We
the
can't.
uprisings in the world, but it's starting to happen.
It is happening,
It's
but the
starting to
media's
happen.
won't. The media's not showing it because the media's shit.
The
That's
revolution will not be televised.
problem.
Unless you're watching Al
It'll stream.
Jazeera.
Al Jazeera.
Well, no, we were talking earlier about how the press shows what they want to show and they don't show certain things. There's phrases that are put in certain circumstances and not in other
But who owns
circumstances.
the press?
Right. It's a very small group of people. What did you say it was? Six companies?
Yeah, in the
own-
states, the 90% is owned. 90% of the media is owned by 6 companies.
Yeah.
What
Six
did Malcolm
corporations.
X say 50 years ago? Malcolm X said this. This is the media, an irresponsible media. It will make the criminal look like he's the victim and make the victim look like he's a criminal. If you aren't careful, the media will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. Like I said
And
earlier,
they killed him for that 50 years ago.
a psychological warfare.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's the one that said that. Yeah, they're using people. They're using people.
Hard to be discerning in this day and age,
They're
right?
using people. They're dividing us. It's the same.
But you know,
It's
I think-
dividing us with COVID, anti-mask. Like now, you go. I go.
Are
I
you
don't go
liberal
to.
or conservative? Are
I
you
don't go
black
to
or
a
you white? Are
protest. But if I didn't have to work, I would probably be at those protests because I want to open my business. So all of a sudden, now you go to the protest. You're anti-vax.
Well, they should-
anti-mask. You're racist. But
Labels,
how about I'm
labels.
just? I just want to open my business and I'm anti-lockdown. You muppets. You don't have to label everybody, man.
No, you know what
With
the
all
trick
the
is?
money, with all the money all these big corporations have made, Costco, Safeway, Walmart's, McDonald's, all their parking lots, when you walk through it, what do you see? Masks on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Why don't they
care.
have actual biohazardous garbage cans where you can put that mask
Because
in
they
there?
want us to die from the mask. I don't know. It's
Actually,
stupid.
that's an excellent point because a used mask would have to be discarded as a biohazardous waste. It wouldn't go in the regular garbage. Right? I've never even thought about
I
that.
don't think the science believes that.
Follow the science.
Follow
brother.
the science, my
science.
friend.
Follow the everything's
science.
follow the science. What did we learn today, kids, ladies and gentlemen? You need to follow the science.
No, I think we need to pick
And
our,
you know what?
We need to pick our science that works for us.
Well, because
And be discerning. Read into the facts.
that is, I agree with it.
so
That's the
like we
biggest part of
said,
it.
you know what? You believe what everything because if the media tells us, if propaganda or well, I'm going to call the media propaganda, but if the government tells us, it's true. You look at a guy like Fauci. We're not in America, but we follow it. What did we say? What was it? July 2020? Don't wear 2000. Was it July 2020? When was that video?
Let me
He's
pull it
saying
up.
that masks are. It's not going to do
I
anything.
think it was
now
earlier
he's
than
saying
that.
wear 2 masks.
Yeah.
How about here in the Europe? They said AstraZeneca can give you blood clots. In Canada, no. Our own health minister said it's okay. You can take this
we
vaccine.
did our study.
We did our
Fast for-
studies. 3 weeks later, yeah, we're going to ban this vaccine.
For
So
under-
how are we
under
supposed to trust
55?
these people? I'm not saying I'm an anti-vax or
No.
don't get vaccinated, but come on. How are you supposed to trust people that 1 week they say yes, 1 week they say no?
And that's actually my biggest thing, is just the trust. Just on a surface level. Not from conspiracy, not from any other reason, but how could I just trust this? If I was dating the government, we got issues, you know?
Well,
Trust issues.
How long did they wear a mask in the hospital before they throw it away?
15 minutes.
What about that nurse that landed in Toronto, Pearson? She came from Tanzania. What was her name? Something Ferrano.
Yeah, I seen her, yeah. She just walked away. She didn't get a fine, I don't
She
think,
get a
right?
fine, but she said, "I'm a nurse. I don't want to wear no mask. I'm not taking your test. I know my rights." They didn't do anything.
Did she still have a job as a nurse, or did they fire her
I
because she
believe-
stepped up?
I don't know. I didn't get that
Yeah,
far.
she might be in
with
trouble.
her.
There's some major pressure on healthcare professionals to get the vaccine. And they're starting, like, there's a lot of conversation about, like, they have to get the vaccine. And then we start to hear about, like, the vaccine passport.
That came out in America
This is-
yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yeah. So
This is
the
an absolute
AstraZeneca-
breach of our human rights, man.
The
I
AstraZeneca-
think it's a scare tactic. I don't think they're gonna. Countries like Mexico are gonna be like,
Well,
I don't care if you have a vaccine.
Here's
they
the
don't
other
even
side.
care if you have COVID. They're like, come into my country, spend money,
But-
because that's a real capitalist
But
way
now
of
I
thinking, man.
did hear last week they were saying, even after you get the vaccine, you might have to wear a mask because they're not sure of it. So why are you?
No,
gonna
you
get-
got to wear 2, man.
Well, no, but why are you going to get the vaccine if you have to keep wearing a mask and you have to keep doing all these? What's the benefit of it?
I don't know. It's a somebody
get the
says.
vaccine?
That's what
I
I'm
read
saying,
this.
like, it either works or it
I read
doesn't,
this
right?
meme the other day or this tweet, and it said, "Would I go get a vasectomy if I still had to wear a condom?" I don't know. I'm always talking about condoms. I'm sorry,
I was
guys.
just going to
but-
say a
but
wild
would you get a
fascination.
vasectomy if you still have to wear a condom? Well, you can get diseases, I guess, but if you didn't want to get your wife pregnant because maybe you have like 4 asshole kids, I don't know.
Why are
I-
they allowing a vaccine that they say the odds of you dying is, say, 30 people to 200 people.
Isn't that roughly the same odds as the COVID, as the virus itself?
Well,
The thing is, like, why
no,
even
I
have
think- I think-
odds like that?
No,
if
I
you're
think
dying at
I
all?
think the odds of dying from the vaccine are considerably lower than like
Yeah,
it's
you're right,
minuscule.
they
It
are,
is
they are,
minuscule,
yeah.
but I don't get a
But
flu
it
shot.
depends how old you are, though.
It does. There's
Depends
a lot
how
of
old you are,
there's a
right?
lot of factors that are tied into it, but it still boils down to if we had, and this is where we were talking. We talked, I think it was last week. We talked about people want to be seen as being on the right side of history. They want to look like they did, and we talked about this. The bank teller isn't a bad person. Maybe the guy who owns the bank stocks a little less.
A little more nefarious, yeah.
Your good interest.
Like
at
the
heart.
bartender's a good guy, but the owner's an asshole.
Yeah, Damien's
That
great.
cockroach.
No, but you have to wonder at a certain point, when does it, like, if you're not going to get if you're not going to get your freedoms back for having a vaccine, why would anybody have the vaccine? Especially if you're
Especially if they wanna push
No,
it.
but if you're under 50 years old and you're healthy, why would you bother? The
And you
odds-
had the virus already.
well, or
and you-
even if you haven't though, like the odds of you dying of it, like
Did we vaccinate the world after the Spanish flu?
I don't think we had a vaccine for it.
And we're all here.
Yeah.
How about
well,
after polio?
Well, lots of people aren't though. They
That's
can make
fair.
that argument.
That's fair. But why don't we just protect the vulnerable then?
Agreed. No, and that did meet the criteria for a pandemic. If you look, WHO has a criteria. It's a certain percentage of the world's population has to die for it to be a pandemic, and this will be nowhere
So
near.
that's why you need to go look at the Great Barrington Declaration. This is why you need to read it.
You know
like
what?
these aren't ER doctors, which like I said again.
What-
Thank God for ER doctors, but these are epidemiologists that are coming out and saying we need to protect a certain amount. It's always been about the vulnerable, but we're isolating healthy young people that are trying to survive and keep their family alive.
I think we have to look at all sides of it. I think we look at that. I probably tend to agree with a lot of it.
I would say a lot of people are afraid of the virus and have a good right to be, right?
Sure.
Because we've already agreed. The virus is real. It will kill you.
And their fear is genuine.
It's. I'm not trying to knock on people for being afraid of the virus because
No,
it's
that's fine. I actually
it's
feel
a
bad
real
for
thing.
them.
It will kill you. But we should allow room to protect the vulnerable and let
Agreed.
everybody else go about their business.
Yeah. Well, I think we said that last week.
But
that-
why?
And at the very least, if you want to pause employment and the ability to earn, then you should pause taxes. There should be no tax. There
so-
shouldn't even be doing taxes this year.
We're isolating everyone right now until enough people are vaccinated, right? So isn't that the whole goal? That's the whole goal. Maybe we need another lockdown until enough vaccinations are done. So why are we isolating? So if we need to wait for vaccinations, why are we isolating the healthy people or the young people at the same time? If we have to wait for vaccinations, why are we isolating healthy people? In the end, according to the whole world and everything we're not going to be there until 80 or 90% of people are vaccinated. That's what Bill Gates, all these people say. So why are we isolating healthy people? Because to get it's going to take the same amount of time. So you're isolating healthy people when we still, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does it kind of make sense what I'm saying?
when they were talking about this in the beginning, when the UK was talking, because they stayed open and they were going to run for herd immunity, and I think they said that once they passed it was 40 or 50% of the population had been sick, that they deemed the population of having herd immunity because the rate that people could catch it again would drop off so quickly. The R number would drop below 1, and it would just.
Is herd immunity, so with vaccinations and
But that's what I'm saying is why
illness,
do
you
you-
can get herd immunity together as like a.
But like, okay, if vaccinations matter that much, I mean, they matter that much, then why not the really fast response in securing vaccinations, right? I mean, I know countries, the Caribbean's getting vaccinated ahead of Canada. Canada is a GA country, and we're like 30th in the list of vaccinations, and it's preventing the economy from opening up. Like,
Well.
it's like we're losing on all fronts here.
The second week of January, the U.S. had vaccinated more people than Canada has to date.
Think about that.
I think there's a bigger
Yeah, but-
agenda here.
But Biden said that
Maybe.
there was no plan. There was no vaccination. He said there was no This is
That's-
just
that's-
funny.
that's
There was
media
no
and press.
vaccination
When he came
plan
into
before he
office,
became in power, but he got vaccinated before he was
he had already
president.
had his shot.
There's a bigger agenda here. You keep hearing all these world leaders talking about let's build back better.
Yeah.
What's that secret code for that word? To me,
You
it
were
seems
loaded.
like the Great Reset
Concrete.
is on its way. They want to push people.
I don't want to. It's too scary.
out. They want to crash the economy. They want to raise the housing market for people.
If 25%
to
of our GDP is attached to housing, and housing is on fire because interest rates are low,
many-
but the deficit's the highest it's ever been. I mean,
how many Canadians
I'm not an
are?
economist, but I can see a storm. You know,
How many Canadians are a check away from losing everything? One check away.
Oh, it was a pretty big percentage. Not just Canadians, North Americans.
Well, wasn't that before even all this happened?
Yeah,
too?
it was. That's what I said. A lot of this isn't new. It's maybe highlighted it, or it makes us
Well, before,
more-
but now people are not able to work. You're locking down a restaurant. What about the guy that's bussing, washing dishes?
which one of you
cooking,
had that point
bartending?
about they shut down all the restaurants first, right? And they're frontline workers, but they're last in line. They're not being held as a priority.
Yeah, they're
for
not going to
getting
get the
vaccinations.
vaccines. Yeah. Yep.
Like, what is that?
Same thing. You could go to a Safeway every day during this pandemic. You could go to a Safeway and walk in.
And the worst of it, it never
You know-
closed, which
you know-
is good.
You know what they want to do in Quebec? Even I don't know if Quebec does anything right, but they want to vaccinate the parents whose kids are at school
Why don't they?
because they're saying the
vaccinate-
kids are bringing it home,
Okay.
right? So maybe that's
You know what? Anybody who wants a vaccine should be able to get one as
Yeah,
quickly as
yeah,
possible.
sure.
We should
Hands down.
be able to ramp this up and knock it out of the park.
Canada we should have all been vaccinated in a month.
Yeah.
There's 30 million of us. We have infrastructure equivalent to the States. What, they got faster cars? Like, how can they move the vaccine around faster? There's like 100 million people vaccinated right now in the States. That's Canada 3 times over.
Yep.
So what are we missing? And at the detriment of the economy and all those other stressors, right? The overdoses, the domestic abuse, the alcoholism, all this other stuff that nobody's really counting, right?
Suicides.
It's all there. Suicides,
Yeah. No.
right? The depression, it's all there.
Listen,
So where's the
if anyone's
urgency?
having a bad day, just come here, have a drink, talk with us. We'll try to help. I'm being serious.
This cheery group will bring you around.
We're actually a lot more.
We're a lot more fun off the camera.
You know what? It's just been a rough week. We are positive people. We love this city. This city's good. We just want to bring.
Even Canada's great.
Canada's
is.
great. This whole, but we want to bring it up, and that's why we're doing this. And maybe we're talking a little negative lately, but it's just been a rough week. We want to be true to people and tell
And
people.
it catches up to people
It,
too.
it, you know,
does. Yeah.
we can't always be positive.
I mean,
Like,
a
you
lot
had
of
a stressful
people really loved our discussion about like reminiscing about all the good old days and all the bars.
Yeah.
So imagine being 18 today. What are you reminiscing about? The good old Zoom chat?
Yeah.
Well, they have Tinder nowadays. We didn't have Tinder when we were young.
Could you imagine if you did?
No.
I-
Dave, the editor, is laughing.
everybody under 25 would look like that.
I think Dave wants to go back in time and have Tinder, huh?
I think
No, there's
Tinder-
more than Tinder. There's Match. What else is there? Bumble,
Bumble, Hinge.
Grinder.
I've never had an internet date in my life. I know nothing.
Well, you got married when you were 8. When did you met your wife in high school?
No, I was 30 when I got married.
But you met her in high school? No.
No.
You met her at the local Polish club, huh? You're like, I want to go to a Polish party.
I met her on a blind date, man.
Oh, nice.
That's how I
good.
met my.
We're actually, so what's happening this week? Her birthday is Thursday. That's the 10-year anniversary that we got engaged
Oh, nice.
No, that's really nice.
on Thursday.
So you met
No
on
pressure.
a blind date.
We'll all be back here.
I met on a blind date, man.
I met my wife on table. Wait, what table? I don't know the table numbers anymore. Table 1 and 2. So on table 1 and 2, and she showed up late. She's late for everything. I love you, babe. If we ever do get married one day, because COVID, sorry, son, we wanted to get
You're
married.
going to be sweating at the altar, boy. I could tell.
No, I'm gonna tell her like the wedding's at 3, but the wedding will be at like 6.
See, my
She-
ex-wife was a blind date.
Oh, ex-wife, here we go.
Tequila.
Oh, hang on. Pour him heavy. I got a long story.
What did we say the other day? I remember one thing from our Friday conversation.
It was pretty funny.
Was it?
And I
Is
said
it?
we
Is
should
it
all-
noon already?
We should all have like if we don't have a partner or a partner, we should have them beside us, and we can do like an 8 of us
Oh,
talking
yeah.
nonsense, man.
That'd go so well, wouldn't it?
Well, you
My
would have
wi-
to bring,
my
you would
wife
have to
was
bring
not down.
16 girls.
I'm gonna
dude.
need more chairs.
It's a cheerleading squad.
no,
You have to have half the restaurant.
my ex-wife was a blind date set up by a very good friend of mine at the time, and then the next long relationship I was in was a stalker. Turned out fabulous, and she's amazing. And then after
See
that
some
was
binoculars over there.
that was my and
So
then,
that's not the police checking all the Italians that have tattoos on their necks here?
Gang suppression, yeah.
Gang suppression? No, that's, oh, they're coming after you. Okay.
but it didn't exist for most of my life. I think it would have been my first internet based or app based date would have been in 2013 or 14 or something like that. And it's great. We should have had it when we were young. But
It's too easy. We talked about it.
We talked about
used to-
calling-
We used to get the minivan and drive from the north all the way down to Outlaws to go on a raid. It was
Remember-
like,
Calling that girl on a landline when you're scared of her dad answering the phone, man. Times were tough.
the busy signal, just trying to get the girl busy.
Man, I
busy.
grew up in the
She's
north.
like, who's she talking to? You know, you're all pissed off.
I'm not- I'm
busy.
not-
how far down in line
I'm
am
not
I?
Sorry, my mom was on the phone.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying the Northeast was that ghetto. I'm not saying, oh, we live in the Northeast, it was so ghetto. But if you live in the Northeast, it's very cultural. So you know when you're calling that girl, there's some fucking cultural brother that's like, who you calling? You know, like, who you looking for? And then the thing is little Italian. Then I show up and there's this Arab kid, man. They're like, what the heck, man? Why are you talking to my sister?
I want to ask, because I haven't dated, I've been married since 20
You're a
years
lucky
now.
man.
I'm very lucky.
It's been a
man.
it's cheaper to be
But-
married than date, no?
But being,
Unless you get divorced.
Till a certain point, yes.
No, he's got
but all
four
this,
girls.
but all this online dating, is chivalry done these days?
No, I hope not. I don't think
Are
so.
you able to walk
I
up
think
to
that's
a
a-
girl
that's a
and
you thing.
introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah,
and-
no,
My
you
take,
got-
I mean, the rules. You don't have to be anything anymore, right? Everything goes.
How do
Like-
you know? You've been married all this
No,
time.
man. I'm a student of pop
I'm,
culture.
he does his-
asking,
he
I'm
does his-
asking
he
the
does
one
it-
with all the exes.
he does
Salute
his
to Another
research.
Tequila.
Oh, that sounds like the voice
What
of
are-
reason to ask, doesn't it?
What are we gonna? You know what? We should have a podcast, dating with Dan.
I don't think we should.
I remember I met.
No, it's true. My information is dated, man. It's old.
Well, I believe still in chivalry. I met my wife in high school. We didn't get together in high school, but I remember the day she walked into the class. It was like
Was there rainbows?
talking
and-
about Bronxdale here, like when he saw his girl, like, but everything slowed down. It was just her
The music.
and the music playing in my
He's
mind.
trying to cover up the first 5 minutes of the podcast.
Cheater, don't get me in trouble here. But the thing is, but no, hold on. But so then all of a sudden she comes and sits right in front of me. I'm like, oh my God, this is my lucky star is going today. She turns around, looks at me, looks at all her friends. She looks at me, looks at her friend. There's no good-looking guys in here. Oh, my heart broke right then and there. But I use chivalry. And a few years later, here we are. Three girls later, 21 years.
And she's
I'm
real because
blessed.
she picked you for chivalry. That's the thing.
I think you're good looking, cuz. No worries. Man.
Oh, thank you very much.
You actually look good for 46, 47. I'm just joking.
41.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I think there's people still like to have. I honestly think with dating or not dating, people want to have that personal experience. People want to sit like this. People don't want to be on Zoom. People want to go back to reality, and it's gonna happen, man.
I miss hugs. I miss handshakes. You know.
You know how many
I miss
customers-
claps, I miss it all.
You know how many customers I said when COVID's over, I'm gonna kiss you on the lips, and 89% of them are men.
I was gonna say,
You
that's
guys are
why-
Italian. I don't
you,
know.
you
What
just
movie
know that's
this
why we all
reminds you
keep
of?
coming back, right?
There was a movie back in the day. What was that? Demolition Man with Wesley Snipes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
a good
yeah, yeah,
movie with Sylvester Stallone.
But that's what time is like now. You
It
can't.
got weird. Yeah.
It got weird.
Right. They used to put on the they put on the headphones or whatever to have their intimate
Stallone
moments.
and
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock, and they used to high
Yeah.
five from a distance.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
That wasn't the movie where they had like virtual, like they had sex, but
Yeah,
they didn't
virtual
touch.
sex I'm
sex.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's right.
Well, you know what? I think
Oh,
it was
fuck.
3 years ago, Stampede. Two or 3 years ago at Stampede. I was at a party on the rooftop patio at the Marriott at Stampede time, and it was everybody on head. It was one of these silent dance places.
Oh, everyone's got the headphones.
Everyone has
right.
headphones on, and you can listen to different channels of music. So you'll have
Right.
people that are dancing to different songs on the dance
Are
floor.
you
at the
sure
same
you
time.
guys just weren't on some kind of drugs,
Never,
man?
never heard of
Let's
this.
see
I
if
never
we're
heard of this
fucked
place
up, bro.
before.
No,
It
no,
sounds
they're-
kind of cool in a concept. Like it's interesting and different.
It's
but
weird,
fundamentally,
though.
it's weird as hell because what makes a live performance real or like the live music? It's the collective.
Well, and
So,
what's
but you have your own
experience,
iPad
right?
playing? It's your own music?
There's like 7 channels, and you pick the channel you want to
So then
listen
you can
to.
be like, yo, I'm dancing to the same one channel as you, and
You got to slow
jokingly
dance
dancing
in
to
one
country
corner, you got to
music.
rave in the other.
You're,
So this guy's doing line
you're
dancing.
listening to a
guys
little
break.
White Snake.
It's kind of, I don't know, man.
Do they have a
I think
reggaeton
shared
channel?
experience is something that's really important, and we don't have enough of that in this world. Because especially now with these things, like we're all in our own.
You know what?
Search what you want. but
Remember?
shared experience? It connects us. It's so important. Why do you
Oh.
think? Why do you think when the Flames are hot and they're in a playoff run, it's so good? Because everybody's watching the Flames and everybody's celebrating.
They're excited.
It,
Well,
right?
it's
It's a
like
collective energy and it's
when,
positive.
When you're in a bar and you hear that one song, you're like, you know this song? You're singing the lyrics. I'm singing the lyrics. And like
Yeah.
you just like get that.
Or the
But
concert. The
I don't
concerts
go to
are like
clubs 'cause I'm married.
so legit, man. You go to the concert and they play that top 40 song, the artist, and like everybody's
The
singing
la-
along.
the
There's-
last concert I
there's
went-
energy. Sorry, Grandma, but church doesn't do that for me.
The last concert I went to was Usher in Edmonton. It was like minus
Oh my
60.
God.
And Evan's like, Usher, Usher. I'm like, dude, this guy was older than Dan when he got on the stage, man. Sorry, I'm not supposed to make fun of your age. I got in trouble last week.
Don't listen to those people.
But like
Dan,
Usher
you're
was on the stage.
29
It was
to me,
actually
bro.
not bad.
No.
You know that's a
those people are
prejudice,
soft.
eh? It's a straight prejudice.
Ageism?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I
Any-
thought
any-
that-
anybody who's
but
telling
you're
you
like,
you're mean,
listen, you're
they're-
like a
they're
Brunello.
soft.
The older you get, the sexier you get, baby.
Oh, I know.
But like,
He's pandering.
But
now.
I might have a bad cork though.
but like, we go to this concert in Edmonton and it was cold. Like, we get Chinooks. Edmonton doesn't get that shit.
It's winter.
We couldn't find a fucking taxi, so we jumped in a limo to go to Denny's in Edmonton. It was so cold. I think it was December
remember that time you thought
2014, 13.
Edmonton was Vegas? Yeah, I know.
Ballers.
Well, we paid $80 to go 4 minutes, but it was. I would have paid $300 because I
You know
was so
what?
cold.
You
In my
laugh.
crew, though, we took limos a lot because it's the smartest thing. I froze
Yeah.
my ass one Halloween, right? Finished party at the Roadhouse or something. Couldn't get a cab. The one girl we had with us, we used her to like get some guy to get a ride, and then we all jumped in this guy's truck. I
Poor
felt
guy,
I
man.
felt sorry for the guy. But after that, I learned the lesson. It's like it's $100 an hour. You don't have to go tour around the skyline. Get the limo and pick all your friends up. You can
go.
drink on the way
Is
there.
there any
He comes
limo
back and picks you
companies
up.
that want to make some money
I
off
know.
this?
In
Us?
Vegas.
we can have a deal. Come to SS, get a limo.
Shut you out.
Last time I was in Vegas, it was you go in, you come out of some of the big hotels, and the lineup for the cab is 100 people deep, and you look over there, and there's like 10 limos sitting there
As
waiting.
soon
You
as
just
you
walked
got
up to them, and it's $49.
6
Take you
to
wherever you
8
want.
people.
We
the
went
limo
with-
wins.
We went with
Right
two.
Well,
Because it was $49. No, but $49 instead of $20. Or you're
Yeah.
gonna wait half an hour in line for a car, or you just go now.
patience, my friend.
You said an interesting
But
fact
no, I hear you. I hear you.
about Calgary. We got Chinooks. A lot of our viewers don't understand what a Chinook is.
Not
You
our,
know who doesn't know
not,
what
not
Chinook
our-
is?
The Swiss fans.
Well, I never made fun of Switzerland on the first podcast.
Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't know what a Chinook
No,
is.
Leonardo
It's
DiCaprio is a
an old
Muppet.
indigenous term, isn't it? Isn't that what they told
He
him?
called it global warming.
Yeah, it's
didn't
global
he?
warming.
Yeah, no.
He called
It
a
was
Chinook global
January in Canada and the snow melted. Thanks, Tips.
warming. Wow.
And since then, the world's on our ass while he
Bro,
spends
this is
50
a guy
G's
that.
to cross the
why is he
ocean. on
even?
his yacht.
I thought he died on a ship, man.
He's a good actor. Come on. You can't.
Nah,
you can't.
fuck him. I don't.
How'd he get here, though?
Oh, he came on a hemp bicycle.
Horse in a wagon?
No,
how
the
he got
horse.
to-
The horse has too much
You're
CO2.
talking about how he got to
It was a
Calgary.
hemp bicycle.
He flew on
Same
that
as Greta.
private jet.
Same.
No,
They
but
flew
didn't-
on the same
Greta flew on
unicorn.
a plane. I thought she took a boat.
No, she took a
back.
boat.
It was a hemp unicorn. Yeah, you know the yacht that like sails at the Bow River.
Do you know how the yacht either got back or got to her? Everybody had to fly, get on the boat, take the boat to pick her up, and then go. All those things are stunts for publicity, stunts for press.
Propaganda. Because the media, you guys are so good. Maybe one day the media is going to talk shit about us. Those
I wanna be in the
four
media.
crazy conservatives at SS 106.
You know what the problem is, though, is that if you don't fit a mold,
If they talk about us, it means we're winning.
that's right.
I think we're winning even if they don't because
Amen.
we're winning.
Cheers to
Cheers.
that.
Because Dan, your ex-girlfriend, what's your ex-girlfriend's name?
Which one?
I don't know. Name
Which
one,
one?
man. Name a girl so we can.
I
drink.
don't name any names.